Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now you may remember a few days ago we planted our tomato seeds. Nothing happening just yet, but that's just to be expected. They've got a nice spot here in the greenhouse, so hopefully in maybe a week or so we might see something poking through the soil. But today we're back in the greenhouse because we are growing some kale. I'm going to sow this kale in just some random old pots that I've collected over time from some, I think this was from some bedding plants. So we're going to sow these kale seeds today, put them in prime position here in the greenhouse, and hopefully we'll have an abundance of kale very soon. Now this particular variety of kale is a dwarf green curled kale. Perfect for use in the kitchen. Just saute it in a little bit of butter and a little bit of seasoning. Delicious as a side to any meal and full of nutritious goodness too. It says here on the back we should be sowing direct sow or plant outdoors April, May and June. Well, it's the beginning of April. I'm not going to direct sow outdoors just yet, and that's for two reasons. Firstly, I'm not sure if we're due any frost. I don't know if this is going to be a problem for these particular seeds, but also the planter that I want to put these in is not yet properly prepared. So that's another job for me to do later on, to dig out the planter, put some fresh soil in, dig out the old plants and the weeds and everything from last year. So I'm actually going to sow these into some pots, keep them in the greenhouse, let them germinate in the greenhouse, and then when the time is right, I'll transfer them outdoors. So these are to sow April to May, and we should be able to harvest the produce from November onwards. November all the way through to April next year, according to the back of the packet, that is at least, which might mean we have kale for Christmas dinner. That will be exciting. Anyway, let's get sowing some seeds. So I'm just getting all my little bits and pieces ready, just tidying up this little tray here. And I've got our pots out, and look who we've got in the pot. We've got a little friend in the pot there. Hello, what's your name? Are you a boy or a girl? I think we're going to call you Gladys. And I'm afraid, Gladys, you're in my pot, so we're going to have to get rid of you in a moment. We'll put you somewhere nice and safe. Okay, in fact we'll do that now. Come on, Gladys, do you want to go in here? You go into there. Have you come out yet? No, you're still there. Okay, oh there you are, Gladys, off you go. Go have some fun. There we go, pot's emptied. Clear up this area here, and yeah, we'll get sowing some seeds. Okay, so one thing I'm not so sure about these kale seeds is whether I just put one or two or three or however many per individual pot. These sowing guidelines suggest that you sow it into a seed bed, probably already direct sow, whereas I'm doing them in pots. It says sow seed thinly in a well-prepared seed bed, 12 millimeters deep in drills and 23 centimeters apart. But it doesn't tell me the density of the seeds. So I'm just going to take a little pinch of each seed and sprinkle it into each pot. This packet has 400 seeds in it, which kind of gives me the impression that we should be sowing them quite dense. So I'm going to take a good pinch and drop a pinch into each one. I think, I'll do some more research online, but I think as they grow, I might need to thin them out and take out some of the weaker seedlings to let the stronger seedlings thrive. Okay, so I've put the seeds in there. Just took a pinch of seeds and dropped them in each pot. I think, I don't know if you can see very well there, but there's probably about 6 to 8 seeds per pot. So let's assume we have a 50% germination rate. That means we're probably going to have about 3 or 4 seedlings per pot. I'll thin them out to maybe 2 per pot, and then hopefully we'll have per pot 2 hardy plants to plant out. We've got 10 pots there, which would be what, 20 kale plants to plant outside into the planter, which I think probably sounds like about the right number to me. So I've just brought you outside to show you the planter here. As you can see, it's a little bit barren. We've got some weeds to deal with, but ultimately this is where the kale plants are going to be planted once they've germinated in the greenhouse, and I think that the weather is suitable enough to plant them outside. Alright, so those are the seeds in there now. I'm just going to top these pots up with a little bit more compost just to cover the seeds, and then we'll give them a wee water and put them in situ, in place where they're going to be for the next couple of weeks whilst they germinate inside the greenhouse next to the tomato plants. And there we are, kale seeds sowed. I'm going to bob them up here next to there's some tomato plants, there's some tomato plants. I'm going to clear this little shelf here, and that's where the kale plants are going to go in the greenhouse just until they germinate and I can plant them out. Okay, so those are the kale seeds all sown in the pots next to our tomato plants. This packet of seeds here, it says on the back, average of 400 seeds and sow by year end 2027. Well, I think I've probably used maybe 100 seeds. So we've got quite a few seeds left. So I'm going to try and store these appropriately in readiness for some more kale next year.